Es geht die Sage um, dass sich einst ein Riese und seine Frau von Island aus auf den Weg zu den Färöerinseln machten. Sie waren vom Bürgermeister auserkoren, ein Seil um die Färöerinseln zu legen, um sie dann an die isländische Küste zu ziehen. In Riesenschritten machten sie sich auf den Weg in Richtung Färöerinseln. Sie sollten sich jedoch beeilen, um vor dem Morgengrauen zurückzukehren, denn Riesen verwandeln sich bei Sonnenlicht zu Stein. Die Wogen des Nordatlantiks, das Wetter und der Nebel schienen sich gegen sie verschworen zu haben. Sie sollten die Inseln eigentlich schon längst erreicht haben. Da war der Riese nicht mehr sicher, ob die Richtung stimmte. Schließlich kamen sie nach langer, kräfteraubender Wanderung an ihr Ziel. Eidskol, der äußerste Berg der Färöerinseln. Da der Riese schon seit längerer Zeit mit Rückenproblemen zu kämpfen hatte, überließ er es seiner Frau, auf den Berg zu klettern. Er blieb also draußen in der See stehen, während sich seine Frau auf den Weg zum Gipfel machte und das Seil befestigte. Doch der Riese zog so stark, dass der Gipfel ins Meer stürzte. Vertieft in ihre Aufgabe wurden die Riesen, so steht es geschrieben, von der aufgehenden Sonne überrascht und gerieten in Panik. In ihrer Verzweiflung versuchte sich die Riesin durch einen Sprung ins Meer zu retten. Doch noch im Sturzflug verwandelten die Sonnenstrahlen die Riesin zu Stein. Auch der Riese versuchte zu fliehen, doch war es bereits zu spät. Auch ihn ereilte das gleiche bittere Schicksal. Und so endet die Geschichte vom Riesen und der Riesin.
These people who live here, they're all hunters. We're used to hunting and go fishing, you know. I know one thing for sure, and that is that the Faroe Islands caught a very big fish on the 12th of September in 1990. That fish was Austria.
Am 12. September 1990 wurde in Landskrona Geschichte geschrieben.
I think Faroese people actually speak about the time before the Austrian game in 1990 and the times after.
Well, that match in 1990, I think it totally changed the Faroe Islands. And the first thing is that, you know, people outside of the Faroe Islands suddenly, you know, recognized us or knew who we were.
It was September 13th, 1990, around 2 a.m. Moscow time. I was listening to BBC World Service, and then they told that result.
This one game changed everything. Started to be, some said it was
most expensive goal we ever had, because we built 13 or 15 football pitches around the Faroes. It was very expensive, so.
Such a story as Faroes against Austria 1-0 at Landskrona is definitely the most romantic story ever happened in history of football.
Och här är den Howard out.
They ended up with a victory, and that's historical.
Mitten im Nirgendwo leben sie, die Färinger. Ein unbekanntes Inselvolk, doch wie sind sie gestrickt? Fähig, eine große Fußballnation wie Österreich mit purer Willenskraft in die Knie zu zwingen. 11 Amateure von den Färöerinseln rangen den Fußball-Goliath Österreich nieder. Vor 50 Jahren landete das erste Flugzeug. 1987 gründeten sie ihre eigene Fluglinie. Sie haben Philharmoniker, das älteste Parlament der Welt, genannt Ting.
The world's oldest ongoing democracy, Parliament. This is the place.
Darüber streiten sie mit den Isländern. Mit der Mütze in der Hand sitze ich im Umkleideraum. Es herrscht Totenstille. Wir starren ins Leere, im ganzen Raum riecht es nach Schweiß. In den Augen der Spieler ahnt man die Angst vor den bevorstehenden 2 Stunden, die eine einzige Demütigung sein werden. Meine Entscheidung ist getroffen. Auch wenn meine wollene Pudelmütze das Symbol der lächerlichen färöischen Amateure werden könnte, so soll sie mit, obwohl der Gegner dieses Mal Österreich ist. Hier angekommen fällt auf, dass alles überschaubar klein ist. Jeder Mensch hat seinen Platz, das garantiert den Zusammenhalt untereinander.
In the Faroe Islands, we all have to play different roles because we are so few. We are less than 50,000 people, and for that reason, you may have your main occupation, which I also had. I was heading an IT company in those days when this football match was versus Austria, and my job as a football reporter was a weekend job.
Heute ist sein Sohn Trondur Sportkommentator, wie alle Männer in der Familie.
When we won that game against Austria, absolutely, that enlightened a belief in ourselves, and I think we've come a long way.
Fußball ist auch auf den Inseln international. Alex dos Santos, gebürtiger Brasilianer, ist seit vielen Jahren hier, spielt für den Spitzenverein und arbeitet als Sportausstatter. Man muss einen Job haben, um Fußball in der höchsten Spielklasse spielen zu können. Echtes Profitum ist nicht erlaubt.
Here we go. Adios. Ja. Hallo.
Da du warst in Brasilien, so kommst du til Danmark først?
Danmark først.
Okay.
Und wie geht es einem Brasilianer mit dem Wetter hier?
Katastrophe. Katastrophe.
Auch beim Training zeigt sich, wie klein die Gesellschaft ist.
I am Oddbjørn Johansen. I am 50 years old, and I have a lot of jobs. But right now I am a coach here in Hope, and I'm actually a taxi driver.
HB Tórshavn ist Tabellenführer und Anwärter auf die Champions League. Wenn alles gut geht, sind sie in der ersten Qualifikationsrunde. Sie träumen schon von Spielen gegen Messi und Alaba. Die Damen spielen regelmäßig Europacup, siegreich im ersten internationalen Spiel, ebenfalls gegen eine österreichische Mannschaft.
We played in 2001 in Finland against Landhaus from Austria. We won the first game ever in the Women's Cup. It was a big moment for us. It was like we had won the championship.
Sie sind Serienmeister. KI Klaksvík gewann 15 Mal in Folge die nationale Frauenmeisterschaft. Ein Eintrag ins Guinness-Buch der Rekorde steht an.
I'm Alexander Georgic. I'm from Serbia, and I'm ex-football player from Partizan Belgrade. And now I'm coach for KI Kvinnor or coach for Farish National Team.
Nun trainierte er die Frauenmannschaft von KI Klaksvík. Alexander Djordjevic war als Spieler ein Wandervogel. Er kam vor vielen Jahren hierher.
2001, when I talk with my friends come to Faroe Islands, I say, oh, Faroe Islands, it must be close to Egypt, huh? So I come from Serbia, I come with the shorts, T-shirts, and I finish in Denmark. So it's this girl who is working information, it's tell me, sir, you go to Faroe Islands? I say, yeah. So you need to have more clothes. So, yeah, now I have a lot of clothes and I use this weather.
Alexander brauchte nicht lange, um sich einzugewöhnen. Jetzt genießt er sogar das Wetter.
In the beginning, I only come for 1 year. So after this first year, I really start to like this peace in the Faroe Islands, and people, it's very nice, and everything, it's all the same like one dream. Really dream, because here people, it's not close the houses, it's not close the cars, nothing. And this is something that they say it's a paradise. Paradise for, it's the last paradise.
Dieser Mann hat seinen Nachnamen auf den einer färöischen Insel geändert. Ivan ist gebürtiger Russe, mag kleine Länder und viele Stempel in seinem Pass.
I decided to move to the Faroes many years ago because of many reasons, of course. Football was one of the main reasons. Another important matter is that I think in a small society, in a small country, the importance of every single person is much bigger than in a big country, and you can influence much more. And that was the thing.
Der Fußballsport brachte ihn 1995 erstmals auf die Färöerinseln. in ein besonderes Stadion.
When I was still a teenager, I got a job as a football journalist in the Russian television, one of the main channels. And I was sent by my company to the Faroes to make a report about the qualifying game between Faroes and Russia. And the game was played in September 1995 in Tofter, the old stadium.
This match in Landskrona released that we have to build a stadium. I was the mayor of Tórshavn at that time, and we wanted to build a stadium here. But there were some political who wanted the stadium to be out of Tórshavn, to be somewhere in the outskirt of the Faroes. I didn't understand that, but I have to agree that those people who are they were very anxious to do this. They offered a lot of energy.
If we lost against Austria, we'll never have this pitch, maybe 10, 15 years later. The only negative thing about this that this was Danish grass on it. So.
Aber der uns nun schon bekannte färöische Eigensinn siegte über vernünftige Argumente. Beflügelt durch den Sieg musste ein Stadion her. Das ist Niklas. Auch seiner Initiative verdanken die Färinger dieses Stadion auf der Spitze eines Berges. Man war hoch motiviert und mit viel Dynamit ausgestattet. Der Berg musste weichen.
We start to speak about we must build a stadium, and yeah.
Auf der Ladefläche das dänische Gras.
We want, and that reason gave us much power, and all people was up here at that time, so it was very easy to do it at that time.
Nur 700 Menschen bauten ein Stadion mit 7000 Plätzen. Auch hier siegten der Wille und die Gemeinschaft der Färinger über die Natur. Das gesamte Dorf Toftir war auf den Beinen, um seinen Teil beizutragen.
That's also the story about 700 people making the will to count.
Heri und Jogvan verpackten ihren Enthusiasmus in Worte und in eine Melodie.
My name is Heri Nolsa, and I have been a banker for all my life. And I have played on the national team, football team here in the Faroe Islands. After the sensational victory over Austria, we talked about doing a song for the Faroese national team. And the element in the song is about David and Goliath. The small one won over the giant.
Der Sieg gegen Österreich war eine Sensation, an die auch in Dänemark niemand glaubte. Das nächste Spiel bestritten die Färinger gegen Dänemark und es hatte für beide Länder besondere Bedeutung.
For the next football match after Austria, which was versus the Empire, the imperial power Denmark in Copenhagen, and I tell you, after this victory, there were 40,000 tickets sold within a week. And there was a full stadium in Copenhagen. And this was the most interesting setting anybody could dream of who also was supporting independence. Faroes playing Denmark and with 40,000 people watching.
Unglaublich, wenn man davor vor maximal 500 Zuschauern spielte, die man noch dazu alle persönlich kennt.
It was fantastic to see all the people. Oh, it was really fantastic. All of a sudden, I heard all these 40,000 people. They were yelling. I thought, what is happening now? And I was looking that way. And then I saw Michael Laudrup, he entered the field. He was so popular.
We did a lot of preparation for this training with a lot of noise.
Before the game, I was lying on the bench, and I remember my foot, it was, I was, it's because I was so nervous. And our physio that day, he was a Danish person. He told me it's only a football game, relax, relax.
But I also have to admit that the 18 minutes in Copenhagen, after Alan Mercury had scored and even out 1-1 in Copenhagen, and this total stadium, it went totally silent. And the Danes didn't believe what they were seeing. Those were the 18 best minutes I have had in any football match ever.
Auch wenn sie gegen Dänemark nicht gewonnen haben, steht das Lied David gegen Goliath heute immer noch für den legendären Sieg gegen Österreich. Nicht nur für Fußballspiele werden Lieder geschrieben. Musik, Kunst und Kultur, darüber definiert sich die Bevölkerung der Färöerinseln.
Look at these CDs, they are all produced in the Faroe Islands. Tut label has made most of them. It's about 500 releases.
It's really crazy. We're only 50,000 people, and we have this amazing music scene. Like you said, everyone knows each other.
Die Musikszene ist überschaubar klein, der Output der Färinger allerdings riesig. Christian Black betreibt neben seinem Job als Musikschullehrer das Label Turtle Records.
Nowadays we release a lot, or the artists, they come with the whole product themselves and we release it. And that's one release every week. We work with all styles. This is Ivor's latest CD, Room. She's been very active, and she's now playing many concerts in Austria, Switzerland, Germany.
Tell stories before I go to sleep.
I always find it very hard to describe the music because for me it's more of a feeling. The inspiration comes very much from, nature. Of course from the Faroe Islands as well, but also from many other places. I remember when I was a girl, I was dreaming about the, big world outside, because you feel very far away from everything.
They took the chance to make a CD with many numbers because punk is short and ugly. So what they are doing here is to say we are 200% for independence. And they have all possible political comments in their punk songs. They're very aggressive, but in a friendly way, if you can say so. They make satire like that's actually a tradition in the Faroe Islands to make a ballad about other people, to make them ridiculous or.
Probably the only punk band in the Faroe Islands, 300 or 200. We started out as we played together since we were 13, I think. Yeah. And we started out, of course, playing heavy metal, and then we moved into 90s rock, and into alternative, and then we've discovered that punk was really fun to play. Yeah. And punk rock is the perfect format for a strong, swift, simple message to say fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Our music is generally about 3 or 4 themes. One is Faroese independence, from the evil Danish Empire, and also we have voiced our opinions very strongly against homophobia and Christian fundamentalism. Yeah, we joke about the evil Danish Empire, but Faroese independence has nothing to do with Denmark. It has everything to do with us and our how we can develop as a nation and take control of our own existence, basically. This is a miniature model of the papier-mâché fuck you finger.
The big one also made it to the National Gallery.
Yeah.
Art gallery, yeah.
We're artists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fourth album was called The Stockholm Syndrome, which is a way to describe the mentality of the Faroe Islands.
Nicht nur die färöischen, sondern auch die isländischen Kritiker waren überzeugt. Einer sagte, wer den färöischen Punk nicht kennt, der weiß nicht, wovon Punk überhaupt handelt.
I think that it's a very small society and there are not very many options. Like if you would live in New York and you would want to do something, you can pick anything. You can do whatever you want every night. And you can do something different every night. And in the Faroes, you really have to make your own circumstances. If you want to have a glam rock band playing, there is no glam rock band playing, so you have to make a glam rock band and you'll play it yourself.
And that's also kind of why I like this place myself. I grew up in a village where it was exactly the same. If you wanted to have a football team, you had to generate it. And normally it was a school teacher. My father was a school teacher, so I knew it from my home. Everybody just went to him and said, couldn't we start the amateur theater this winter? Oh yes, we do that. And if they don't, no theater.
Die traditionelle Kultur manifestiert sich im färöischen Kettentanz. Ein fester Bestandteil des Gemeinschaftslebens und mittlerweile weltweit einzigartiges Kulturgut, da er noch in seiner ursprünglichen Form erhalten ist. Die färöische Sprache war seit der Reformation um 1540 als Schriftsprache vollständig verschwunden und konnte nur durch Balladen bis in unsere Zeit überleben.
We have been part of the Danish kingdom for so many hundred years, but for the last 100 years we have fought for having acceptance of using the Faroese language in church, which we were allowed in 1917, to use it in school, which we were allowed in 1936, and we've got a Home Rule Act, which is a semi-autonomy back in 1948, and since then we've built up our own identity, if I may say so.
In Gesang und Tanz verschmelzen die Tanzenden zu einer großen Einheit. Schwer zu beschreiben, man muss es erlebt haben. Tausende Färöer finden sich zum Olavsøkka am 29. Juli um Mitternacht in Tórshavn ein, um Teil davon zu sein. Olavsøkka ist der Nationalfeiertag der Färöer. Der Premier hält die Rede zur Lage der Nation. Olavsøkka ist ein riesiges Volksfest mit Blasmusikkapellen und Umzügen. Fast wie in Österreich. Nach der Show sitzt die Familie zusammen. Das Hauptevent des Tages ist das Rudern im klassischen Färöerboot. Bei dieser abschließenden Regatta der Rudersaison werden die nationalen Meister in 6 Klassen ermittelt. Ob Mann oder Frau, jeder rudert.
My rowing, it started out with competition rowing in the Faroe Islands with a traditional Faroese boat. After a while, maybe the second year, I started to get interested in ocean rowing.
Ozeanrudern ist eine Extremsportart, bei der Ozeane in hochseetauglichen Ruderbooten überquert werden. Die Crew auf dem Boot kann zwischen 1 und 14 Mitglieder betragen. Derzeit haben ca. 600 Menschen einen Ozean im Ruderboot überquert. Etwa 6000 haben bis dato den Mount Everest bestiegen. In beiden Gruppen findet sich ein Färinger.
My name is Levi Neisted. I am 43 years old, married to Swana, and I have 4 daughters, and I live here in Kvanasund. I've been away a lot this year. Twice I've been rowing, long trips. The first trip was from the Canary Islands to Barbados in January, February, which was 35 days. And then 2 months ago, I came back from the Indian Ocean, and that took us 57 days. We rowed from Australia to Mauritius. If you put your hand on the horizon of the ocean, and the Southern Cross is like 4 fingers, so it's and if you go like 5 fingers, you're too far south. And if you go 3 fingers, you're too far north. Just keep it on 4 fingers and go that way, then you will come to Barbados. It's very easy. I spoke to you earlier about the physical strength and the mental strength of when you're an ocean rower. It's always good to be in a physical good condition. But now I've done, 4 oceans, and now I know a bit more about it. I remember the first time when I went on an ocean row, I was training for 9 months straight, 2 hours every day, maybe sometimes more, and I was really, well prepared for this physically. And then I learned that the physical aspect of it is like maybe 20 or 30% of it. The most important thing is that you have a very good mind. You're mentally very strong, and so that's for me today. It's much more important that have a strong mind. If you can be the strongest guy in the world, but if your head doesn't follow, it's gonna make you weak. So ocean rowing is not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
Ein starker Wille und der Drang nach Freiheit und Herausforderung zeichnen den Färinger also aus. Liva geht noch einen Schritt weiter. Die Einsamkeit des Ruderns zieht ihn immer wieder auf die hohe See. Die Inseln sind ihm anscheinend nicht entlegen genug. Eigentlich, so sagt er, ist er Maler.
Yeah, this is a painting of a whale hunt, and you mentioned that this was a painting of tradition, and I don't think it's tradition. Tradition is something else. This is a way of life. This for us was survival for 1,200 years. I don't want to let that go. It's not very popular also if you think about Greenpeace or all these that activists that are against that.
Es gibt entschiedene Walfanggegner, die auch immer wieder Kampagnen gegen Walfang auf den Färöerinseln durchführen. Über das starke Engagement der Sea Shepherds gibt es auf den Inseln eine einhellige Meinung.
Paul Watson is he's a businessman. He gets a lot of money from this wealthy luxury boys and girls in Hollywood. They don't know how to spend their money and just give some money to Paul Watson.
Die Waljagd als kulturelles Gut steht für die Färinger außer Frage. Alles läuft nach einem strengen Ritual ab. Die Wale werden getötet und zu gleichen Teilen aufgeteilt. Jede Familie erhält ihren Anteil. Die Grindwaljagd wird seit Hunderten von Jahren dokumentiert.
The Faroes people have to survive because they have not any other things.
Back in the day, fish, birds, sheep, that were, and of course potatoes, and that was the main food source. And of course, whale meat.
Today, maybe it's not so necessary, but we like it very much. I have eaten it since I was born almost. So it's a good meat, and the blubber, we were told when I was a young boy, it's good for you to eat blubber as much as possible.
The topic is a big focus on the islands, so the amount of whale eating is very, very low because of the chemicals and so on inside. So for my point of view, I will not give my youngest daughter whale meat and so on. Eat it usually when my wife is abroad. I will do it for tradition.
Man fühlt sich auf den Inseln teilweise zu Unrecht an den Pranger gestellt.
When you go into a supermarket in Austria, in Germany, in England, or wherever you are, and you see, miles of freezers full of animals, sheep and chickens and all that. And these animals usually have been bred up for one purpose, and that is for you or me to eat it. And they've lived a life that's been really miserable. Holding a small cage until it's killed and skinned and then put in a freezer for you to buy it. These whales live completely free out in nature until we kill them. And then people come from wherever, in the world and call us the barbarians. It's just, for me, it's completely, crazy.
I can understand the issue because of especially the thing with the blood and so on, because the blood is going into the water, and usually all the pictures are done when we have all the blood. It takes 10 minutes to kill maybe 100, 200, 300 whales, and the blood will, of course, the 7% of blood will go into the water because we slaughter it in the water. And it takes maybe a half an hour before it is gone and so on. But all the pictures are coming out at this time. And this is, for the eye, also for me, actually a little bit shocking to see. But that's just the same as a fish, 7% of blood, pork, cow, human beings and everything. So if you have to slaughter something, it takes that, but it's not hidden, it's open. So I think in the future we'll have slaughterhouses, big slaughterhouses for the whales as well.
Die Färinger waren lange Zeit Selbstversorger und es galt, alles wird gegessen, was sich verwerten lässt. Neben Schaf und Fisch gehört dazu auch Walfleisch. Sichtet man Grindwale vor den Inseln, werden die Färinger durch den sogenannten Grindwalalarm informiert. Sie lassen ihre Arbeit ruhen oder unterbrechen sogar den Gottesdienst. Die Menschen versammeln sich nahe der Sichtung und fahren mit Booten hinaus, um die Wale in die Bucht zu treiben. Dort werden sie mit speziellen Werkzeugen getötet. Das Fleisch der Tiere wird unter den Familien gerecht aufgeteilt. Vergleicht man das mit den Praktiken der globalen Fleischproduktion, so handelt es sich um einen sehr naturverbundenen Vorgang. Mit der Endlichkeit ist das so eine Sache auf diesen Inseln. Generell wird vieles gegessen und in den meisten Fällen auch selbst geschlachtet.
On all 18 islands we have sheep, and it's part of almost all the people.
Es gibt sogar kleine Inseln, auf denen ausschließlich Schafe leben. Wörtlich übersetzt heißen die Färöerinseln Schafsinseln.
You also have to learn the children so they can catch the sheep when I'm old. Almost everybody has some of the family. Yeah.
Jede Familie besitzt ein Haus, ein Boot und ein paar Schafe. Aus dem Zusammenhang zwischen Ernährung und Nahrungsquelle wird hier kein Geheimnis gemacht. Hier hat das Leben noch sehr viel Natürlichkeit.
We weeded the potatoes, but we won't take any today.
Wale, selbstgefangene Fische und Schafe sind die einzigen Güter, die auf den Inseln steuerfrei getauscht werden können. Sie repräsentieren den alten Lebensstil der Insulaner. Damals passierte es nicht selten, dass monatelang keine Schiffe mit Nahrungsmitteln anlegen konnten. Auch heute sind diese Güter für viele noch ein Ruhekissen, falls die Zeiten rauer werden. (1990) gab es noch ungefähr 600 Kleinstfischereiunternehmen. Heute ist es eine Handvoll.
Jens Martin Knudsen from the Faroe Islands, former national keeper, the bobble hat, now a fish owner with a company here on the islands who will export around 5% of all the export value on the islands. It's traditional saltfish, especially for the Mediterranean area, because in the older days it was impossible, no refrigerators and so on, so they have to do something. Then they salt it, and then it can be in the sun for 2 years and so on without destroying it. So that's what we do, export a lot to Italy and Spain, especially Spain, Greece and so on.
Jens Martin Knudsen betreibt mit seinem Schwager das Familienunternehmen. Nach seiner Karriere als Tormann stieg er in die Firma ein.
One kilo of fish, 1 kilo of salt. So that's how it goes.
This is a special product from the Faroe Islands.
This is religion in Italy, in Spain, Greece, and so on. Very, very likely, just like wine. Well, we just live out of fish. 99.8% of the export value is from fish. So we will not, with anything on earth, will not overfish.
Es gibt nur noch wenige Trawler auf den Inseln. In den 1990ern fischte man tatsächlich die eigenen Fischgründe nahezu leer. Auch die Lachszucht spielt eine sehr große Rolle. Das sind die wichtigsten Erwerbszweige auf den Färöerinseln.
That was when I was young. I was being captain, a big trawler, then I was 26, and I have a crew of 50 people on board under me. Then we was fishing in Labrador, Greenland, Newfoundland, and Spitsbergen. One of the biggest problems that is the trawler be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and the trawl are being bigger and bigger. But the fish ground is the same as they've been for 1,000 years.
Fishing industry is the biggest sector at all. Export 99% is fish, importing 99%. So we are very internationalized countries. We are totally dependent on the world outside Faroe Island. And we are sitting on resources of approximately 500,000 tons of fish.
1990, genau am Tag des Spiels, traf sich die färöische Regierungsspitze mit der dänischen, um über die finanzielle Zukunft der Inseln zu entscheiden. Ein Schicksalstag.
The victory was in 12th of September in 1990, and short afterwards there were a great crisis here in the Faroes. The banking system collapsed, and factories went down, and about 5,000–6,000 people went to Denmark. So we had a big crisis here in the Faroe Islands, and maybe the victory in football was a light in the dark time in this crisis.
It was a economic. We went down economic because we were borrowing too much money, same as all the other crises, economic crisis in Europe. You know, you have been borrowing too much money, and then you're not able to pay back, actually, because of the fisheries are going totally down.
Die Inseln standen vor dem Bankrott. Man bat um Hilfe zur Rettung der färöischen Wirtschaft. Dänemark verlangte bessere Vorkehrungen seitens der Färinger und legte einen Monat später einen Plan zur Bewältigung der Krise vor. Auch dadurch wuchs wohl der Wunsch nach Unabhängigkeit in der Bevölkerung.
We've actually found oil in 2000, but not enough, not commercialized. It's not enough to commercialize. But we are drilling next year well number 8 and well number 9, and trying to get under the basalt. And there are very big interests from the oil companies. If we are finding a very big well, you know, so that of course means that Faroe Island overnight will be richer than Qatar, so it's of course it will turn our economy totally around, and Faroe Island will be even a richer country than today.
Interessante Aussichten. Langsam verstehen wir die Färinger. Sie sind nah an der Natur, nutzen jede Chance und Ressource, sind zielstrebig, aber gleichzeitig sehr anpassungsfähig. Man lebt von und mit der Natur.
Well, I think that you could say that football has been the most popular sport for many years, and it also was at that time. But nobody had it as a professional job, not even a semi-professional job. They were all full amateurs. So they had their full job beside, and they got some money because they lost some working days when they went traveling for these football matches.
I play as a midfielder, and I've been playing professional for 5 years now. You have to have a work beside the football. That's why I do this.
Ja, kanske. Jag hade Esterridge som. Du tar en böcker. Right now we're picking up potatoes, which is something we do for the kids so they can learn and see the culture in Faroe Islands that we've been doing this for many hundred years. So they learn something about that. And my job is the pitch that we played against for the champions. It's right beside, so this environment is like, you can say it's a paradise for me because the work is just beside my hobby where I play football. It's fantastic. They look up to me and say, I want to be the same number as you, 21. So, and it's fantastic. When you get champions, everyone is like, wow. So it's a good feeling. Yeah.
Wir sind wieder bei HB Tórshavn. Das Spiel ist zu Ende. Sie haben gerade die Meisterschaft gewonnen. Das bedeutet Champions League. Alles ist auf den Beinen. Ein Volksfest. Trotzdem ist jeder nur nebenbei Fußballspieler. Fußball brachte die Färöerinseln auf die globale Landkarte. Doch das Team, die Gesellschaft, sie sind über Eitelkeiten erhaben.
From the Faroe Islands.
Um das Gefühl von Sicherheit zu erlangen, muss die Verbindung zu unseren Angehörigen stark sein. Die Pfade der Kindheit bestimmen die Geschichte unseres Lebens und unseres Schicksals. Das Elternhaus, unsere Angehörigen, unsere Familie und Freunde bilden das Fundament, worauf das ganze Leben ruht. Ihr vertretet heute euer Fundament, euer Elternhaus, die Föderation, aber auch den ängstlichen Färinger, der vor seinem Fernsehschirm sitzt und auf die Demütigung wartet. Ihr vertretet den Färinger, der euch voll und ganz unterstützt. Ihr spielt für die Färöerinseln. Es ist eine Ehre, keine Pflicht. Ihr habt nicht dieselben Fähigkeiten, mit einem Ball umzugehen wie die Gegner. Das Niveau liegt weit unter ihrem. Sie werden euch nicht ernst nehmen. Keiner nimmt euch ernst. Lasst eure Gedanken nach Hause schweifen. Denkt an die färöische Fahne. Nehmt sie in Gedanken mit auf den Fußballplatz. Es geht nur um eines, den Ball zu gewinnen, für Färöer zu gewinnen. Ich weiß, keiner kann es besser als ihr.
If I talk about where I do come from, or if I say, do you know anything about football? I came from the Faroe Islands. Oh yes, You were the one who won Austria, you know.
You have to think about that we were not training on real grass. We were training on sand pitches on this time. We had no artificial grass or plastic grass or anything like that. We were on sand, playing our own games. We have no national stadium, and we are only training 2 times a week. And this was absolutely the first international game ever.
When you compare Austria, one of the very famous football nations in the world, probably not such a big country, but still over 7 million, with such a wonderful history, so many fantastic players, and then they meet this not even state, but just some islands with their population of less than 50,000 people, and probably only 10,000 people of men who are able to play football.
The Faroe people were very divided if it was right for us to go into international football. Some said, what should you do there? We cannot never, ever be anywhere and placed as a winner of a game. Why should we go there?
We were really fearing that what would happen could be what the Danish journalists had written. And you know, the guy who was doing the transmission on Danish television station 2, he said, now is starting the match which should never have been played. And the Danish newspaper, they were writing, well, the scoreboard can only count up to 99. What are they gonna do when it's going beyond?
It was not in our mind to beat them. It was coming from the 10-0 down to 5-0. That was our aim for the game, and that would be a big result for us to come under that. That was the limit, and that was what we were aiming for. Was definitely not aiming for the big result at all.
We went to Sweden, I think 6 days before the game, and the Austrian team, they did not want to train in Landskrona. They went to the park, Idrætsparken in Copenhagen, and see Denmark play against Wales.
And I fully understand them. They came from the World Championship, and this was the real minnows of the world they were going to meet. And on the stairs, I met Anton Polster, or Tony Polster. And I asked him, Tony, what do you think this will end up with? How many goals?
One of them said that, Faroe Islands, what is that? We will beat them 10-0. And
this was a story which went worldwide, especially the following day.
I was thinking, they are 100% underestimating us. And I was so focused on the game.
Everybody think we will lose very much. Some people talk about 10-0. And it was special because we have only seen the Austrian players in television, Polster and all that. And we like to see them play. And now our country will play against them. So it was a very special match. Huh? And I think almost every people in Faroe Islands was watching the match.
We were both at our friends when that match happened. And we played music with a guy. He was the brother of the captain on that team.
I was at my friend's house. He was at that point 5 or 6 as well. And we didn't really understand what was going on. We actually went out to play football. So just outside the living room, there's a small field where we were playing football, and you had your jackets as goal, and we wanted to be those Faroese players.
I think I was flying when he told me that I should play the game, because I was, as I told you, every game I was on the bench. As I played 39 caps for the Faroe Islands, and the first game I ever started, it was against Austria.
And when we were in halftime, it was still 0-0, and we have seen how our guys were heroically defending and fighting their way through the match. I tell you, we were getting more and more excited.
Halftime, we actually got a bit bored because there were no goals in this game, and we couldn't understand the importance of actually no goals going in an our end.
our goalkeeper played a fantastic game, and I think all the players played a good game. Huh?
We will definitely not just laying it down and say, okay, come on, beat us. We have done this just to keep it down on earth, to have it in intervals. So every 5 minutes that we could survive was a victory. Spectators, they didn't know that. So every 5 minutes they will count down, 10, 9, and then 5 minutes. So we were doing this all the time, just 5, surviving. So it was not too much of a handful. Huh?
As every minute went in the second half, it was great. And then when you see in the 67th minute that Torkjell Nilsen is getting the ball on the right side and he's moving fast into the Austrian side and he's beating off 2 defenders and then he scores the goal. Jesus Christ, what a moment. What a moment. You wouldn't believe that.
Fantastiskt, fantastiskt. Der føriske spelaren tar leipa og en stor trunka mitt i völlun. Alle føriske fløts ned i loftet. Alle klappa som i stadion. Följa rad på 1-0 mot Österrike. Han har soloprestation från Torkjell Nilsen. Han var flere för om han missade bollen. Fick en natt kvar i enaste fär och ända in i brottsteinen och sätter den i nätet till 1-0. Följa rad.
And then when you're sitting into this or standing in this situation where we're ahead and the sensation has happened, you could say. I think that we were only thinking, for how long will we feel this sensational feeling? Is it 1 minute? Is it gonna be 2 minutes? And when it was over, I don't know what we felt. I think we were completely surprised.
After the game, when we had beat Austria, I did not think it was that big. We won Austria, okay. I actually was the first the Faroes player who went to the bus, and I was sitting in the bus.
But I was going into the doping control, and I remember that I think it was Kurt Ross and Rodax who were in there as well, and they told this man for UEFA, how can you think that we are doped? We had so bad game.
Just besides our bus was the Austrian bus, and I saw Andreas Herzog. He was sitting in the Austrian bus, and I saw he did certain. He was. So he was. It felt that he was. There was something. He was ashamed.
I remember this one from Scotland was the one that was from UEFA, and they were finished before us, Kurt Ross and Rodax, and just when they left the room, he comes up with a 6-pack of beer and say, "You are great."
We had a small party that night, watching Eurosport and what they were telling about this football match in international media. We really got the dimensions of this the following morning.
Fantastic! Oh, he scored! Incredible scenes here! And the Faroe Islands have taken the lead through Torkjell Nilsen after 64 minutes.
Det nok den største sensation i international fodbold.
The Faroe Islands have caused a sensation.
Väldigt sensation.
And one of the biggest upsets in European football history, the Faroe Islands beating Austria by a goal to 0. It's the Faroe Islands' first match in big-time soccer, and complete humiliation there for the Austrians.
When we came to the Faroe Islands, I got a shock because there were so many people who was celebrating that we had won. So we won. I was happy, but I did not think it was that that everybody would go crazy in the Faroe Islands. I did not expect that. When we went out of the plane, they were shouting at us, and please, can we have your autograph? Autograph? What are you saying? Autograph? We had to. First time in my life, I gave autograph. That was after the game. Huh?
And we were driving in a bus towards Tórshavn. People were meeting the team all over the place, and you know they were hearing the cars were making noise on their way, people were waving. It was a fantastic experience.
Folk I 100, ja 1000-tallet, tostu pura fra seg sjølven ut av gøttenar at nadisten, at fagna føreske spelaren og sikret.
And when they came to Tórshavn, they were met by thousands of people in the city center.
I would say there are a couple of legends in the Faroe Islands, with Torkil Nilsen being one, absolutely. But no, we don't do superstars in the same way you do in other places. You go to England and you look at the Premier League stars and so on, like people go absolutely crazy when they go. But here you're a football player from 3 till 5 on a Sunday, and at 7 o'clock if you go out somewhere, okay, people will talk to you about the game and then everybody's interested in football. But I don't think we don't do stars in any way. I can tell you, Torkil Nilsen, he's a legend, and he becomes a bigger and bigger legend the less he speaks, because nobody knows anything about him. He becomes this person that you just want to pick his brain and say, like, who are you? What are you doing? Why aren't you talking about this?
It's very difficult, I think, because Torkil is a very reserved man. He's a family man. He lived all his life on the island of Vår in his native village of Sandavaur. And he never moved abroad, even though he's an intelligent guy. And he got some proposals from football clubs when he played football, but he refused because just wanted to stay in his village.
Yes, in Faroe Island, usually we are going to the door, we are knocking on the door when we like to speak to somebody, or we can give them a call, or we can send them an email. Call Torkil, I think that would be the best.
Jener Mann, der diesen Erfolg mit seinem Tor ermöglichte, hat bis heute niemals ein Interview dazu gegeben. Er spricht nicht darüber. Torkil Nilsen personifiziert die Seele des Färingers. Bodenständig, geradlinig, ausdauernd, ohne Allüren, trotzdem kreativ und fantasievoll. Torkil spielt heute lieber Schach als Fußball.
I think that you should maybe go with him to catch sheep on a mountain or something like that. Then you will definitely get the interview and so on. It's hard to get him. He's totally down on earth. So you will see. Hopefully, he's an interesting man. Very interesting.
Supporters of the initiative gather outside. This is just wrong, it can't go on. I encourage you to live a life of prayer and pronounce this
Knapp 25 Jahre später treffen die beiden Teams wieder aufeinander. Alle 25 Jahre stürzen die Färinger einen Goliath. Diesmal war es nicht Österreich. Griechenland, viel näher an der Legende von David und Goliath, wurde bezwungen. Die Färinger werfen weiter ihre Netze aus. Und Schritt für Schritt verwirklichen sie durch Gemeinschaftssinn, Hartnäckigkeit, Hingabe und Mut ihre Träume und Wünsche. Auch wenn diese unmöglich oder fantastisch erscheinen, irgendwann werden sie wahr.
It also created this feeling of you can fight all the way through making the impossible possible.
Supporters of initiative, yeah.